The first thing we need to bear in mind when we talk about the Mayans is that the Mayans are still there by the millions. In Mexico, southern Mexico, Guatemala, Central America, there are many Mayans living in Chicago. We are in Chicago. Well, there are many Mayans that are bilingual or trilingual, Mayan, Spanish, English, living in Chicago and other places in the United States. The Mayans didn't go anywhere. The Mayans are there. There are TV channels in Mayan. There are schools that teach bilingual education in Mayan and Spanish. The other thing that we need to remember is when we see documentaries about the Mayan, they're going to start talking about the big mystery of the Mayans. What happened to the Mayans 800 AD, where actually the Mayan civilization collapsed in Central America. Well, there is no mystery. We know what happened. There was an environmental and social crisis in the Mayan civilization at that time. And if you are patient, you're going to see what happened and all the information about that, supposed to be big mystery of the Mayans. Other thing that I would like to say, if you saw the movie Apocalypto and you relate the movie Apocalypto with the Mayans, please forget that, okay? Because the movie Apocalypto and the Mayans don't have anything to do with each other. And you will see that a little later. You will see that there is no relationship really. The Mayans, this is very important, were the only civilization in the Americas that developed a complete writing system. Then we know a lot about them because a few years ago the system was deciphered, and now we know what happened. We know historical facts. We know the names of the kings and the name of the queen and the ministers and who they fought and who they like and what they eat. We know a good deal about the Mayans because of that complex writing system that they have. They were also amazing scientists, and all of that is going to be developed through the class. This is a Mayan conch shell. Also, the Aztecs used these conch shells. It's a sea conch shell from the Caribbean. There is a cut here in the tip of the conch shell. And what you do is you use your hand to modify the pitch. I have several here, courtesy of Andy's Music Chicago, in this fantastic place in which there are, I don't know, 4,000, 5,000 instruments from all over the world. The sound is different depending on the size of the conch shell. Let me try this one. Some are harder than play than others. This is hard. Another Mayan instrument we have here is this frog. There are frogs in different sizes, and you use these frogs to this as a percussion instrument that can be both like a little log drum or some kind of very characteristic. In some time, some part of the year, it's very typical for the Mayans to go out with the little frogs and do sounds for some rituals. They had also the same complexity of flutes and percussion instruments that are common in the Americas, and as also happens always in the Americas, they didn't have any string instruments. One rule that you can just set in stone right now is when we are talking about pure Native American cultures, there are no string instruments, only voice, percussion, and winds of all kinds. That's a marimba. But this is a modern marimba. And as you can see, a modern marimba has the black keys of the piano here and the white keys of the piano over here. And this instrument, very sophisticated, that's probably a $20,000 marimba, modern marimba, used for jazz, used in symphonic orchestras. This is a 4 octaves marimba. There are marimbas with 5 octaves that are much bigger, are based in this very humble and very traditional and beautiful Mayan invention of the marimba. But the traditional Mayan marimba that we don't have here would have only the white keys of the piano and only 5 of those repeated again and again. That's why I am using only C, D, F, G, and A, because those are the notes that would be present in a traditional Mayan marimba. But since we have this opportunity, being an Andes Music Chicago, to show to you all these instruments, I wanted to also remind all of us that this marvelous instrument, the modern marimba, is based on the Mayan old and traditional marimba that you are going to see during our class.